Are you fed up of struggling to come up with content ideas that number one, are unique, and number two, are actually useful for your audience? If so, don't worry, you're not alone. I would have the same thing where I would stare at a blank screen for hours and end up just overthinking it by going, this has already been spoken about. All of my competitors have already said it, and I would get this paralysis by analysis. This was the case until I came across internet OG Frank Kern's Milestone Method. I'm going to run you through this step by step, and for me, it was an absolute game changer. I'm Adam Haley, and I have helped over 1,000 PTs leave the gym floor, go fully online, and hit consistent 5K months. Now, if you've got pen, paper, or even an iPad nearby, pause this video, go grab it, come back. So what we're going to start with is by drawing a horizontal line from left to right across either the piece of paper that you've got or your iPad. The left-hand side of the line represents your client's starting position with you. And the right side of the line is when your client has gone through your coaching process and finally hit that dream outcome. So here's where the magic happens. I want you to now sit and think about each of the high-level milestones or subjects that your client has to tick off throughout the process of reaching this end goal. Let's use a typical fat loss client as an example here. So one of the first things that you probably would end up starting with would be tackling nutrition with your clients. The next would likely be training. Maybe you recommend cardio or even steps, NEAT, whatever you like to call it. Perhaps you recommend supplements to your clients. Maybe you do some work on their mindset. Maybe there's a routine or habit formation, or perhaps there's, the check-in process. Ultimately, there are lots of these big high-level subjects that one of your clients needs to learn, implement in order to get from point A to point B. Now, once you've watched this video, I would advise that you block out a bit of time and you truly go through this process and pick the subjects that you truly believe in. You can use what I've just gone through as a bit of a guide and a framework, but we want this to be yours. Next up, we're either going to highlight or circle the 3 subjects on here that are either your most passionate ones or the ones that you feel are the most important to the process. In this case, I'm going to pick nutrition, I'm going to pick supplementation, and I'm going to pick mindset. We're now going to draw 3 new lines, and we're going to label each of them with the 3 subjects that we just picked. Line number 1 in my case would be nutrition. Line number 2 would be supplements. And the third line in my case would be mindset. So at this point, you should have your first line that has all of the high-level milestones. We now have 3 lines under it which represent each of the 3 core topics that you had just circled or highlighted. And this is where we go deep. We're going to start with subject number 1, in this case nutrition, and we're going to now define the smaller, more granular steps within this bigger subject. So with nutrition, it could be protein, it could be carbohydrates, it could be fats, it could be fiber, it could be fullness, it could be meal timing or fasting. So let's get these added onto the timeline. So we've got protein, we have carbs, we have fats, we have fiber, let's call it hunger. Perhaps we have vitamins, minerals. And again, when you come to do your version of this, I want you to take your time, I want you to go deep, and I want you to make it yours. So once you've fully completed the first subject, so in this case, nutrition, you would then repeat the process for the second subject, which in the example that we've given would be supplements. And then for the third subject, which again in this case would be mindset. And again, you would break down all of the smaller subtopics within that larger topic. And what this means is in less than 10 minutes, you now have easily 15, 20, 25 content ideas that number 1 are unique to you. Number 2 are actually useful for your followers and your audience. But number 3, more importantly, are actually in alignment with your coaching philosophy. So from now on, whenever you need to go and shoot a reel, whenever you need to write some Instagram posts, you can just use this process. Think big subject, smaller steps within the overall subject. For me, with business mentoring, if I was to use this process, I would draw that first timeline and I might have marketing, sales, delivery, team, productivity, systems. You get the drift. So let's say that I chose sales to be one of my initial timelines and big subjects that I'm going to break down. Within that, I might have call nurturing and getting somebody to the call, essentially the pre-call process. I might have call setup, Zoom, Wi-Fi speed, microphones, cameras, I might have how to open a call, how to build rapport. I might have the discovery phase of the call, the pre-pitch, the temp check, the pitch, the investment phase, objections. All of these smaller steps that all come under the umbrella of sales. And when you start looking at content ideation like this, do you see how easy it becomes and how simple it is to actually separate yourself from all of the other coaches out there? So once you've finished watching this video, I would suggest you go and spend some time to go do those 3 timelines in more depth. Start implementing it. And if you're unsure on which platform you should leverage initially and how to get those first clients into the business, go check out my other video that's either on screen now or in the description below.